Hey, welcome back to Movie Buffs, guys. I'm your host, Will, and this is Koei.
What's up, guys? Okay, before we get into it, we want to apologize, or I want to apologize in advance because it's really my fault. I want to apologize in advance if we sound different or if our voices sound a little bit weird. We have been sick the past week. It's been a little rough.
Yeah.
A lot of in and out of naps and just like hazy medication stuff, which is really my fault because I brought the cold back from Sundance.
Yeah, so she traveled to Sundance and came back and made both of us sick.
Yeah, I was in the mountains. It was very cold. It was snowing. I was fully unprepared.
Yeah.
People had like long johns and like gloves and like warmers and all of these crazy things that I did not have. And I felt it. I really felt it.
Yeah, then you come back to hot weather.
Yeah. My body's a touch confused.
But tell us more about Sundance, though.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone's dying to know how it was.
It was so cool. It was amazing. I went into it fairly blind, I will say. I went with a program that Sundance like sponsors, but they were a little hands off. More on that later. And I understand why, right? Like the festival has been remote for the last few years, so they, because of COVID, so they really haven't had like this is their first big like Sundance back. So there's definitely like some kinks, but it was such an incredible experience. I went to tons of screenings. My schedule was jam packed. I was seeing like 3-4 things a day, which is a lot, like movies, like the movies on average were like an hour and a half, 2 hours, some were even 2.5 hours. And then afterwards they have like a short Q&A, which is really cool. I got to see the majority of the cast for everything that I really saw, which is awesome. Lots of fun celebrity sightings like Cody Fern, one of our favorites from American Horror Story, who's very small in real life. Fun fact. Very, very small. So that was so funny. I'm like, look at you. You're playing Satan and you're so itty bitty.
Yeah.
Saw Adam Lambert, saw Jason Momoa, who was huge.
Right.
And a bunch of different.
Oh, you saw Jason Momoa?
I did, yeah. Actually, a friend of mine in my
Aquaman?
A friend of mine in my program, her husband like sat next to him at a bar and he was like, oh my God, it's Jason Momoa. He's big. I saw Anne Hathaway and a whole bunch of different people. But cool. Yeah, it was such a rewarding experience. I think being in a space with tons of creative people who are doing like, who are just like really committed to their craft and who are just doing all of these really dope things. It was so cool. And again, because the festival has been remote the last few years, everyone was like, hey, let's talk, let's network. So it was really cool. I got some really cool opportunities for myself as a journalist and as a hopeful film writer, TV writer, producer. So it was really incredible. It was really incredible.
That sounds like fun, man.
Yeah, it was fun.
And you saw Steph Curry's documentary?
I did, which I must say was really surprising. I'm not like the biggest sports girl ever. I love basketball, but I don't really follow it. Like I'm much more of like a player, not a watcher, if that makes sense. So when I got the assignment to cover it, I was kind of like, oh, okay. But I was really surprised. It was really good. I think sometimes sports documentaries can have like kind of that stereotypical like intense vibe of like started from the bottom, from the gutter. Now I'm here at the top. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's very like dramatic in that kind of way. There's not a whole lot of like light moments. But this one I felt like it was a really honest portrait of who he is in his life. Like it wasn't that serious. It didn't take itself that seriously. Like it felt really honest and true to his experience. And it was really cool. Like it wasn't just about sports. And I think that was awesome. It was really focused on like the community that brought him up and what made him the player that he is today. And and it was funny and it was cool and it was inspirational and it was really, really well directed, really well produced. And I was really surprised by it.
Yeah, that's dope. Didn't you get to sit in the same row as him?
I did. I sat in the same row as the Curry family. They were all there. And then some of his teammates from Davidson College were there as well. And it was really cool. I mean, the crowd was just like buzzing. Everyone was like, Steph. It was really cool. It's a really cool experience. Yeah, it was the ambiance of the theater was really fun to be in.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool. And so I would say the top 3 movies that I really enjoyed that I would recommend people go see when they eventually come out. I saw a movie called Eileen that had Anne Hathaway, who was spectacular in it. It was the movie that I was most expecting to come out of Sundance, like an indie film, like a true indie film. Really quirky, really weird, really niche, but just like really like interesting. Like just I loved the way the story was told. And the ending is wild. It's one of those where it's kind of like, you're kind of like in the middle the entire time. Then the ending is like, what? Like it's crazy. And I really liked it. Set in 1960s, like gritty Boston. I liked the the poor whites. Like I like just seeing that like that energy and that community was really cool. Then I saw a movie called Theater Camp, which I absolutely loved, a mockumentary about a theater camp in upstate New York. This one felt really nostalgic to me, having grown up in upstate New York and having gone to camp in those areas and knowing what that vibe feels like. This movie captured it perfectly. It was a musical. There's music, so you already know I'm in. And I was a theater kid growing up, so like I loved everything about it. It was really nostalgic, really fun, really funny, really sharp script. I love mockumentaries. They're just like fun, and like I like, again, like don't take themselves that seriously, and just like there's so many opportunities for comedy in that particular genre, so I really enjoyed that. Jimmy Tatro makes a really funny, like he's a main player in it, and he's actually an executive producer. He was so like, this is the perfect role for him. Right. He kind of plays so he essentially, his mom owns this theater camp. The mom ends up getting sick, and so he comes in to run the theater camp, but he's like a typical like bro, like sup bro, like fully like like Jimmy Tatro, basically, like his whole vibe. But he was just like really funny and did a really incredible job. And and the kids in it were so good. Those kids can sing. It was really good, a really fun watch. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Searchlight just bought that, so that'll be really good. And then what else? What would my third pick? What would be my third pick? Oh, you know what? I watched this movie called Landscape with an Invisible Hand, which really surprised me. At first glance, it seems like a typical like Gen Z sci-fi movie, but I gotta say, this movie had surprising depth, and it actually was really interesting and cool to see. And like funny moments, really good tension, a really good story. I was really surprised by that one. I was like, huh. So I think that I'll put that one in my list as well, because I was like, this is not what I was expecting. I really enjoyed it. When you see like a Gen Z led project, you're like, oh my God, like it's going to be like woke city, or it's going to just be like lame. But this one was actually a really, really good movie. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
That sounds dope.
Yeah. Look out for my reviews. Follow me at Mwai.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, she's written a bunch of reviews for the movies.
So many.
She saw. Yeah.
In between us coughing and like crying because we were sick, I was just out here cranking out these reviews. So you can see them. You can just follow me on Instagram. They're also going to be on a platform called Shadow and Act that's connected to Blavity, where I write. So you can check those out, and I'm sure I'll be, just shamelessly plugging them for many days. So keep a lookout.
That's dope.
Yeah, but for today's episode, moving on from Sundance, for today's episode, we just thought we would do like, our usual casual weekly update, let you guys know what we've been watching, what we've been checking out. We've been watching some fun things since I've been back. And we're first going to talk about Poker Face.
Poker Face.
Yeah, quick synopsis. So Natasha Lyonne, who we love, big hair, big accent, love her. And she plays the same character almost every time, with different variations. And I love it. I love an actress who stays in their lane, but like, in different kind of ways. Love Natasha. Yeah. Anyways, she plays Charlie. Charlie has this unique ability to be able to tell when someone is lying. We don't really know how, whether it's like a psychic thing or like an intuition thing, but she just always knows when someone is lying.
Yeah, if she's looking at someone and then they tell a lie, she always knows that it's a lie.
Yeah.
So
she gets herself tangled up with some not so great people, and that's the first episode. And she's on the run essentially for the duration of the season. And so we see her as she's on the run from these bad people who are after her. She kind of solves murder mystery. She solves murders with every step that she makes. So when she goes to this city, she solves a murder. Next city solves a murder. Next city solves a murder. So that's kind of like the format of the show. Yeah, it's really good. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. It's the director of Knives Out, or
I think it's the writer.
The writers.
I think it's the writer.
Knives Out. Yeah. So yeah, it's really interesting. So like Chloe said, she's basically on the run from these mob guys, basically.
Yeah.
And as she goes around, like she'll go to a town, she meets she tries to find a job. Everywhere she goes to, she always tries to find a job. And once she finds a job, like one of the people at that job gets mysteriously murdered or something, and then she always goes to solve the murder. So she basically just talks to people until she figures it out, because she can always tell when people are lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've seen Knives Out or Glass Onion, it pretty much has that same vibe of like the murder happens and then we backtrack and then we see how it happened and how Natasha Lyonne figures it out.
Yeah. So they basically tell, like, it's not like you have to figure things out.
Right.
Or you don't figure out who killed them, because the first scene of the episode is always the story of the people who one of them murders the other or something like that.
Yeah.
And what you find out is how she figures it out.
And the motive.
Yeah,
so
and then
we'll
the motive. Yeah,
we'll just see the murder, then you figure out, okay, the why, and then the how she figures it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, yeah, really like this show. I
good.
see how it is reminiscent of like the Knives Out kind of campy murder mystery space that they're in. And I really like it. I think it was a really good graduation. Some really fun cameos so far.
A lot of good actors.
Good actors.
Adrian
Yeah, Brody.
Yeah, Adrian Brody.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Adrian Brody, Lil Rel.
Lil
Rel.
I
always
Howery,
say Lil Ray.
Yeah, Lil Rel Howery. Chloe Sevigny.
Yeah, Chloe Sevigny.
Yeah. I don't know.
My friend Jana.
Yeah. Chloe's actually knows somebody from college who's on the show.
Yes. She's in the latest episode that we watched. Shout out Jana. Good job. Congratulations.
Yeah, she played like the younger version of the one of the main characters.
Judith Light. She plays the younger version of Judith Light. It's another fun cameo.
Right.
Yeah, they got a cast on this. They got a cast on this for sure. There's a big budget for sure.
And if anyone here watches Big Bang Theory, they have Howard. He's he's in the last episode.
Yeah, also, he was the FBI agent.
Yeah. I don't know his name in real life.
Yeah, I don't know it either. Just that guy.
Yeah, it's a really well done show. Natasha Lyonne is an executive producer.
Yeah. I feel like these days, if you're a star of that caliber and you're signing on to like spearhead a project, you're usually like people. I feel like most people now negotiate an EP credit or an EP role as well, trying to get 2 checks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good show though.
It's a really good show. It's really fun. I highly recommend it. Yeah. Even if you aren't like the biggest like murder mystery person, like this pretty much checks all the boxes. Little bit of action, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of drama.
Good
like
amount of comedy.
Good amount of like it's a funny show. Yeah. So I think across the board, it's like just a fun, easy watch.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we move on.
Yeah. Kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
All right. So if you guys haven't heard about this show Kaleidoscope, Netflix show, and essentially, all right. So should I explain what the show is about, or should I explain the way that you watch, the way it's set up first?
How about what it's about?
Okay.
No spoilers.
Yeah. So Giancarlo Esposito, is that his last name?
Yeah. Esposito.
Giancarlo Esposito is a criminal.
That's like my favorite actor, man.
I love him.
Yeah, man.
I love him. He plays this criminal, this con man, who sets up this heist to going after this other guy who he used to
be
tussle with.
Yeah,
they both
partners. Used to do.
They were partners.
They're robbing partners. Yeah. They used to break into houses, safes, all that.
Yeah, like those. Not really like. It didn't seem like they did that like that big of crimes. Like I just think that they did
stealing,
like like not like a little bit more than petty theft, but like not
jewelry.
Yeah, like jewelry, stuff like that. Anyways, so he screws him over. He then sets off this plan to like get him back and to steal a bunch of assets that his company is holding, because he has like a what's it called? He has like something, I don't know, I forget what it's called, but when companies that like hold your assets for you. You know what I mean? Like in safes and stuff like that. I forget the name. But he has one of those like...
or something?
It's something defense, criminal defense. He has some kind of company that holds people's money. And so now
they just call it a security company.
Yeah. I don't know why I just blanked on like what to call it. It's a security company. So he comes up with this plan to essentially like pull off this heist to steal from him to get back at him for how he screwed him over. It's basically the plot. And so the way that you watch this TV show is unique because okay, so the episodes aren't in order. They're named by color.
They're not in chronological order. Yeah.
They're not in chronological order, and you can watch them in chronological order, but you don't have to. Like, it's not like episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. It's like blue episode. It's like pink. It's like blue, green, and then you pick which ones that you want to watch. All they tell you is that you should end with white.
Yeah, you have to watch the white.
Yeah, and white is the actual heist. So you watch everything else beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about this. I go back and forth on the experience. I really love nonlinear storytelling. So that's when you don't tell a story chronologically. I love that. I think that it's a compelling viewer experience.
Yeah.
And I think that to me, it's almost like true to life, because when you tell someone a story, you don't necessarily tell them from the beginning, right? Like you'll jump here, you'll jump there. Like to me, it feels reminiscent of human memory. And I like that. I like kind of like the fragmented, here, there storytelling. But I will say, you do lose some details, and it's kind of hard to put the puzzle together if you watch them in certain orders.
Yeah. at first, when we first started watching it, we just chose an episode at random,
Yeah.
and we chose another one at random after that.
Mm.
But yeah, like you said, like towards the end, when we had watched like most of them,
Mm.
we kind of started doing it in like chronological order of like
Yeah.
how much time before or after the heist happens.
Mhm.
So like each episode description tells you that. And when we I don't know, when we went back to some of it's like we forgot things because
Yeah.
everything was kind of jumbled around.
Mhm.
And to be honest, it would still be nice if you watch it in the proper order, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. I think like it's cool though that you can start from any point basically.
Yeah.
And still get the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is cool. And I like this. I like wondering things as you're watching something like, oh, why is this happening? Like, why do they have this tension? Like I like when a story starts off with holes, then you fill the holes later versus like putting piece by piece to put it together. You know what I mean? But yeah, so there's a whole bunch of articles out there that recommend the order you should do it in. I would say maybe don't watch it chronologically, but try and start with like the because you'll see it's like 24 years before the heist, 6 years before the heist. So I would say start with the ones that are furthest before the heist, earlier, and then kind of like do it like that. So for example, Violet is technically the first episode. Yeah. I would watch that second, maybe watch Green first. Green is 6 years before. So that way, like, you have some holes, but then they're filled. And you have what you need to move on. Then you can watch like the ones that are like weeks before the heist. Yeah. Then you can watch ones that are days before the heist. Yeah. Then watch Pink, which is 6 months after the heist. Yeah, then watch White.
Yeah, Pink is the final actual episode. In terms of the timeline.
Yeah. But I feel like I liked watching Pink before White. So definitely watch Pink before White.
Yeah, definitely. You have to watch White last.
Yeah. So I would say
that's honestly the only rule. You should watch White last.
Yeah, which makes sense because White is the actual heist, and it is kind of nice knowing everything surrounding the heist,
and then you see what actually happened.
Yeah, which is nice. Yeah, for sure. But I'd recommend start with Green, then Violet, then anything else is like pretty fine. But like, follow our guidelines of like, like try and do it in some kind of order, but like give yourself some room to like not know things as well. Then Pink, then White.
Yeah, it's a good show. It's
a good show.
It's about more than just the heists. It's like it has drama. It's funny at points. It's
some good
show.
Twists.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a good one.
Like, yeah. The only shortcoming was probably like just the aging factor because you have Giancarlo playing like himself, from his 30s to like probably like his late 50s. Yeah, and it they don't age him. They don't young him up well. Yeah. It's okay. The budget went to like the explosions and the heist and like that's fine. It's fine. It's a small thing. But no, it's a cool show. Definitely a cool show. In the beginning I was kind of like, because I feel like, heist shows, I feel like you've seen them all, right? But this was fun. I got into it and we were like really invested towards the end.
Yeah. It was a good show. I liked the characters. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I liked that. I felt like the ending felt realistic to what the situation is. Yeah. It wasn't like some false happy ending of like them running off into the sunset. Spoiler alert, but not really.
Yeah. So I'm still not used to seeing Giancarlo as like a good guy, man.
Yeah.
Just from all that Breaking Bad stuff.
He wasn't like a good, I mean, I guess he was
like the guy we're supposed to be rooting for,
Yeah. And you definitely like you root for him. Yeah, which is super different than Breaking Bad. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. He has this menacing quality. Like, he plays a good anti-hero. Wow. Yeah, because he has that just like menacing quality. But I also want him to be my dad.
He has so much range because there's a show called Godfather of Harlem that he's in, and he plays like a reverend type guy.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he's like he's really different in that show.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Should we move on to Triangle of Sadness?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. So we watched this really weird movie. When was it? A couple days ago?
Yeah. 2-3 days ago.
Called Triangle of Sadness.
Really
if you
good
watched
movie.
The Menu, which we talked about in one of our previous episodes, if you haven't seen it, check it out. And we saw this film because we were looking for movies like The Menu, and someone recommended this. We like read an article and they're like, oh, check out Triangle of Sadness. Like, if you liked this, like, check out this movie. Yeah. So basically we follow these two models and they find themselves, I don't know if it's like they have a brand deal. They find themselves on this really fancy yacht with like these really rich people.
The girlfriend she's an influencer.
Yeah.
So she gets a lot of like free trips, free stuff, all that. So yeah, they get a trip to a cruise.
Yeah, they got this like really bougie cruise, like, you know,
Yeah.
the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah.
And chaos ensues pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That-
It's pretty quickly.
I'm just remembering. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so we basically start with these two guys. It's this, I don't know any of these actors' names, so forgive me, but it's this British guy and then this vaguely European
Yeah.
girl. And so the guy's a model, the girl's like a model slash influencer.
Right.
They win the trip, they go on the cruise. So now they're around, we meet our other characters now. So the crew on the cruise are our other main characters now. So yeah, the she's like the manager of the cruise.
Yeah.
She's like,
She's I
what do
was
you
watching
call
Below
her?
Deck when I was at Sundance, and they said all the names of the people who work on the boat.
Yeah.
I know, like, she's like second in command. Like, she's in charge of like all the
Yeah,
like
the whole boat
the
basically,
manager. I
besides
forget the name.
besides the captain and
Yes.
the second captain.
I mean, the
or
captain's
whatever.
kind of like all over the place. But
Yeah. Woody Harrelson.
played by the charming Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, so they go on this cruise. So they're, you know, on the cruise enjoying, there's a bunch of other passengers. Now these are like very, very rich people who these other passengers are. So they're older than these two. These guys are young. So yeah, everything seems normal. They're enjoying the cruise. They're, you know, having fun, eating, drinking. And there's something called the captain's dinner that's coming up. So it's basically a dinner where the guests share dinner in a room with the captain, and, you know, they mingle, whatnot. So the captain's Woody Harrelson, and he's very like, he's like messed up. Like, he's like always in his room. He's always drinking. He's like messed up. Yeah. And once they get to the captain's dinner, it's nighttime. The boat starts reaching, what do you call it? Like really bad waves and
Yeah,
stuff.
the boat manager had told the captain that they had
They
really
shouldn't
bad weather
do it.
that night.
Yeah, they
But he
shouldn't do
doesn't. He's like going
He
through some
doesn't care.
things.
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't care. Like, let's do it Thursday, whatever. So yeah, they have a disgusting dinner.
Yeah, it's crazy.
is
We won't give away what happens on
gruesome.
this
Oh my God.
on this part of the movie, but
Ew, it's so
It's the-
gross. Ugh.
it's actually the craziest thing you'll see, and it's very stressful, and it's like it gives you anxiety. But yeah, so that's like the second act of the movie, and then the third act is the third act is basically now after that.
Spoiler alerts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Small spoiler alert, this won't ruin the movie for you. Something happens. They have to all evacuate the boats. So they do that, you know, with life jackets and all that. And they find themselves on a remote island. And it's only a few of the people. Most of the people didn't survive.
The boat was attacked.
Yeah.
So not everyone made it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so now they're on this island. There's no civilization, so it seems. So,
It turns into a Lord of the Flies situation.
yeah. So it's very interesting because we see dynamics between characters change, and it's like a really interesting conversation in like for us to have, basically, like on the relationships between people, like rich people and then people who work for them who aren't rich. And yeah, it gets really interesting because the one person who works on the crew is the only person who knows how to like fish, make a fire and stuff. So we see the power dynamic change in that reason. Like the boss from the boat is no longer the boss anymore because of those reasons.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gets really interesting.
Yeah, it gets really cool. This is another one of those movies where it's very much like middle, like it's very like calm in the beginning, you know, weird, niche, calm, quiet. Then things get crazy. And then it's like one thing after another. And it's one of those things where like all bets are off, right? Like no one, you know, couples, things turn upside down. And, you know, I always think it's really compelling to see just like how dynamics and people change, like in situations of duress or of where you're completely stripped of, you know, like your status, your social standing, and things get messy really quickly. Yeah. Aesthetically, I think this movie is beautiful. Like I think this movie aesthetically was really beautiful. That the tones, the color scheme is really like it has this this like this like
chromatic.
Not really monochromatic. It has this like retro like modernism to it. That's term that I'm coining, right? Like it has this it has like an old school kind of feel, like an old school 1940s like wealthy kind of like tone to it, but also like really modern. I thought that was really compelling, visually really beautiful to see, and like some really cool shots like with the bow rocking and stuff like that, and even just when they're on the island trying to survive, like really beautiful movie like in terms of the cinematography.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I thought like what you mentioned, the boat rocking, which is a very important thing in the movie. But
God, gross.
Yeah, the sets and everything were crazy.
Yeah. I thought the acting was really good too. I think everyone kind of like, no one was overdoing it, right? Like I think everybody, like it seemed like everybody knew their characters really well and had a really good grasp of them and didn't overdo it. And I thought that it was really they let the script and the story and the plot do its thing. And it worked. I felt like it was really balanced between performance and script and plot and everything. Yeah. It
paid off.
So this one's it's a weird one, but like definitely check it out. Like it's really cool.
Definitely watch it. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those where you don't know where it's gonna go. You don't know where it's going.
Yeah, you don't know where it's going.
An awesome ending. You know,
ending was good.
Yeah, we love an open-ended ending here, and I love that we don't really know what ends up happening to these characters. We don't really know like who gets out, who survives, and I love that. We love some loose ends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, I think that's it for today, right?
Yeah, we're good for today.
Yeah, a quick one for you guys. So we'll see you next week. We are so sorry that it's been the last like month and a half has kind of been like, you know, not the most consistent, but we're back.
Yeah, we're back,
here.
Guys.
Weekly episodes. Stay tuned every Thursday. Catch you next time.
See you guys.